Smile is a psychological horror film that follows Dr. Rose Cotter, a compassionate psychologist, who is deeply shaken after a traumatic event during a therapy session. Rose treats a young woman who describes a terrifying experience, a malevolent entity that appears as people with disturbing and natural smiles. Before Rose can fully understand what is happening, the woman takes her own life right in front of her, her face frozen in a grotesque grin. The trauma from the incident begins to haunt Rose as she starts seeing the same unnerving smiles everywhere she goes. At first, she brushes it off as a reaction to stress, but the terrifying visions grow more frequent and intense, leaving her unable to distinguish between reality and hallucinations. She begins to hear whispers and see strange figures in the corners of her vision. It becomes clear that something far more sinister is at play. As Rose's behavior grows more erratic, she finds herself increasingly isolated, with even those closest to her doubting her sanity. Desperate for answers, she turns to Joel, her ex-boyfriend and a detective. Together, they uncover a horrifying pattern. Each victim who encounters the entity ends up dying by suicide or violence, always leaving behind a disturbing and natural smile. The curse seems to spread through traumatic experiences, passing from one person to another, feeding off fear, guilt, and unresolved trauma. Rose realizes that the entity is preying on her own buried pain, and the more she fights back, the stronger the curse becomes. She uncovers a dark connection between the entity and her own traumatic past, forcing her to confront painful memories she has tried to forget. As the entity grows more powerful, Rose must race against time to break the cycle and stop the curse before it consumes her entirely. In the end, Rose faces an impossible choice: confront the source of her pain and risk losing everything, or pass on the curse to someone else to save herself.